Hello and welcome to the OVRC GT Series for Season 5. Welcome to Round 3 of the GT Series. Now we're at Monza, and once again we are back with more GT racing. Wow, good start there by me. I just completely forgot what I was going to say. Professional streamers, right? Broadcasters, right. Welcome back as we are at the beginning of qualifying right now. 50 minutes qualifying. As all the cars now head out onto the track. So we're at Monza, famous track around the world. Everyone knows Monza. If you don't know Monza, then you probably haven't really been sim racing much for very long. But everyone's driven Monza. You have to have driven Monza at some point, Owen.
Yeah.
Fairly straightforward track when you on the surface anyway. It's a lot of straight line. Known as a temple of speed, very well known in F1 for that. The fact that everyone takes all the wing out and everyone goes as fast as possible. Obviously, GT cars are a bit different. Not quite as fast in a straight line as the F1 equivalents, obviously. They should be like a GT car. So, anyways, we now head out onto qualifying. Currently, the car leading the pack in qualifying is Carlos Carzola in the BMW M6. And from looking at practice, so far, BMWs are strong, but I say that towards the end, the Audis managed to become the top two cars. So once again, quite a close field in terms of the different models and makes of cars. But as we'll watch Carlos now start his lap.
Shall I go over the championship standings before your lap start?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so leading the Works Championship record is Mike Stoffmill with 200 points. Second is Thomas Olsen with 124 points. Third is Jasmus Cassel with 84 points. Fourth is Christoph Verstappen with 80 points. And fifth is Alexander Second with 64 points. In the team standings, leading is Virtual Drivers by TX3 with 200 points, which is just Mike Stoffmill, it seems. Okay. Second is Team Denmark with 188 points. Third is Pro Formula Esports A with 92 points. Fourth is Pro Formula Esports B with 69 points. Nice. And fifth is RQR with 58 points. And of course, if you want to check out the full standings, you can do so at the link in the description.
Thank you for that, Owen, as was corrected to the volume just now. So, Carlos has invalidated his lap, so he's currently... A lot of people I've seen have validated their first lap times right now, which means that Robert Nygaard, I believe, is the only car... No, he's in an out lap. Everyone's not doing a good job. Monza's track... Oh, but he's on the times that overlay finally showed up. Yeah, Monza's a track where it's fairly simple on the outskirts, but we're trying to get actually fast here. There's a bit of technique to it. And especially the Scary Chicane, very well known for being quite fast, but also quite tricky. It's where you can make a lot of time or lose a lot of time if you muck it up. So Robert Nygaard will be the first car to cross the line in his BMW M6. And close behind him is, I believe, that's Grungen in the Corvette, as Robert Nygaard sets a 148.8. Few more cars are approaching the line now. The toe is very important around here as well. Lots of factors. This track is unlike a lot of other tracks with lots of corners. It's all about the straights and getting a good exit onto those straights, really, and that is the key. Also, having a bit of toe does help a bit with your lap times, as you probably saw in a bit of practice. Some cars, when they were getting towed, were suddenly a lot quicker than otherwise. As Mike Stoffmill is currently fastest in Sector 1 and Sector 2.
People going faster than the current first position.
Mike Stoff.
Thomas Jensen is about to cross the line.
I think he's got a lap on. Oh, he does.
Into first for now. Bernier slots into 3rd place. See where Mike Stoffmill will go.
I think he aborted his lap. He's went
Right.
very slow into the Parabolica. So I don't know. Maybe he just maybe feels disadvantaged not having a tow. He's all by himself right now on track. So very hard. I think I can imagine the B&W pairing of Sebastian and Thomas sticking together to get each other the tow to help them each other around here, as obviously they are teammates. Not the best season, those two, right now. Both races having, well, disastrous end to them, sort of thing. Last race, both of them, I believe, got punctures or something along the line. Thomas definitely got a puncture, and he got a pension race 1 as well, so not the best start of the season. A few other cars start to cross the line now. We've currently got around 12 cars with a set time.
Robert Nygaard just moved to 2nd place, so he's still 7/10 of Jensen's time. Mike Stoffmill is on another lap and appears to be improving on Jensen's time in Sector 1.
He's going just through the Ascari chicane right now. Yeah, he's improving on both sector times, but he's got one more corner to go, which is the Parabolica. It's all about getting the good exit here, about not losing too much speed going through there and trying to slingshot your way out of the corner. Looks easy, it's really not that easy trying to get a good lap around here. What's the possibility as he will take provisional pole? We're 147.48.
Apologies for the volume issues on my part at the moment. We were testing before the start, and Mike Stoffmill has spun, and he is back in the pits. Anyway, we were testing the volume before the start, as we usually do, and it seemed fine, so I'm not sure what's happened.
It should be correct now. Just had a double check of some various settings and turned you up a bit, so should be good now. If OBS's volume mixer is to be believed. As Christopher Verstappen coming across the line now. Personal improvements in both sectors right now. Across the line puts us up to P3. So currently it's sitting Audi, BMW, BMW, Corvette in the top 5 in terms of manufacturer cars, and Stoffmill currently sitting in that top spot right now with Jensen behind him. So the normal 2 at the top positions right now.
Yeah, the BMWs were expected to be strong at this race because of their high top speed. So they are, one interesting thing for the race is going to be fuel consumption, which is, from what we've heard from drivers, seems to be a bit of an issue.
Ooh.
So Alexander Secher has spun at the end of, what's it called, Ascari?
Yeah, Ascari, on the exit of Ascari, he just lost control of the spun around, nearly collected the car going past. I think that car was Jordan Pierce's Mercedes. He nearly collected them, so that would be not a great way to start your qualifying session, but as Robert Nygaard across the line and improves his time. But as you were saying, the tyres don't really matter as much. The tyres, the risk of punctures is a lot lower than the other previous tracks. Obviously, Monza, a lot of straight lines, you don't put too much tyre load in, so punctures shouldn't be an issue. What is the issue, as you said before, is the fuel. So again, drivers are reporting that they might not be able to make it home on the tank if you go flat out. So possible strategies include aggressive fuel saving, or doing a splash and dash. Fuel savings probably is the preferred tactic there, but it'll be easier for some than others. The most car which is going to probably struggle the most in that is the BMW, which is one of the strong cars here. Fortunately, due to the way the torque curve is in that car, it just makes its power at the top end. So there'll be a big struggle for those ones to try and get the fuel done, but it's possible. We'll see how they end up in the race.
Thomas Jansen is improving on his own sector times right now, though he's not yet on par with Stoffmill through sector 1. Let's see how he does throughout the rest of the lap.
The Audi's probably going to gain most of his time through that first sector, as well as chicanes are. So
although he's lost time in the second sector,
yeah, he has.
no improvements from him there.
But yeah, the Audi is probably quicker through chicanes, but on the back straights and the back end of the track, the BMW should have the advantage.
I see a Porsche going off in the background. Not sure who that is.
Victor Berlin, from the looks of things, he went a bit wide there on the exit.
Yeah, that was Berlin.
Just saw them there. It's worth noting that currently there's no Porsches in the top 10 right now. As I believe the last person to drive one in the top 10 is not currently racing right now, being Darren King. I don't know if he is just not racing today or what's going on with him. I had no messages about possible pulling out of this race. As my Stoffmill improves sector 1 again, so he's looking to try and extend the much gap as he has, as he is currently leading the championship by quite a significant amount. And it's weird, it doesn't quite relate to the on-track performances. I mean, not saying he did badly, but his closest competitor keeps having issues in the races, and that is sometimes racing. Sometimes it's all sometimes about just being clean and being safe and just staying on track. But the standings make it look like a complete whitewash when it's really quite a little bit closer on track anyway. As one of the Porsches behind loses it on the straight and nearly collects the Mercedes.
That is James Butler.
I don't know how he lost it there. He just seemed to guess on the exit of Sky again. There's AstroTurf there as we head into the final minute. There's not much more time for people to set a lap time.
And Thomas Jansen moves into provisional pole with a 147.4. So he's slightly faster than Stoffmill right now, and he heads into the pits. So that was his last lap, although he didn't have enough time for another lap anyway.
I don't think Stoffmill will have another time either, so unless
he is on a lap, but I'm not sure he has enough time to finish it. No, he would not. Then he has to do a 130, which unless he can transform his car into an F1 car, I'm not sure it's possible.
There's a Winko across the line, and he doesn't improve, I don't think. Well, he does improve, but not close enough to really make any significant distance. As a few people are now returning to the pits now, but it looks like very much the grid will be set unless some people could do some last minute improvements to the times with 30 seconds left to go.
So there are the final results of qualifying. Thomas Jansen will start in pole position with Mike Stoffmill in P3 and Konstantin Romanenko in P3.
Robert Nygaard in P4, Verstappen in P5, Cassell in P6, Olsen in P7, Sebastian Bruni in P8, Robert Adams in second, and Grinion in P10. Should be an interesting race as the gap between the top 10 is, well, top 9 is just over a second. So, be interested to see how obviously everyone will do as the gridding process begins now, minutes before it will begin. So we will begin shortly the third round of the OVRC GT Series. Current track temperature 29 degrees, air 21.
You can
BMW.
see the drivers are lining up on the grid right now.
Not long to go now.
I suspect full fuel tanks for all of them.
I don't think any strategy call outside of that will be working as the lights go red. And we are green for the first round of the third round of the OVRC. I'm just throwing all the words there. Thomas Jansen gets a very good getaway and manages to defend off against Mike Stoffmill. And he goes down to the inside line into the first chicane. So far, so good as everyone gets through. Hopefully, no.
There's a bit of contact van the Porsches and the BMW. One of the Porsches going off track for a bit, though I wasn't able to tell who that was.
No, it seems that everyone is getting through there. As there's a bit of possible free ride action in the back there. In the back positions as Victor Berlin is trying to get around the outside of James Butler. As everyone now makes their way through for the second chicane, and Thomas Jansen is making it great, so we're interested to see what he does. Obviously, we said before, the BMW struggling the most with the fuel in terms of getting the distance out there. Due to, it can't really short shift. That's his bigger issue, whether the Audi and stuff can. So we're going to see how they will, or how he will, what tactics he uses in this race to try and stay ahead. Obviously, he will have to stop if he goes out flat out the entire race. Mike Stoffmill not really getting closer, and he's got the Audi of Menko right behind him as Menko spins in the Ascari. So he is facing the wrong way now. As always, a bit more crashing.
Oh, that's a lot of big
Whoa,
accidents
whoa,
right
whoa.
there at the exit of the Ascari.
Mm.
A bunch of different cars involved. There appears to be Stephen Higgins involved there. The BMW as well, there's Victor Berlin.
There's a few cars there. A few cars with front end damage as well. So
Yeah, a bunch of cars with front end damage right now.
So there seems to be two crashes there, and there's like one just with Victor Berlin and one of the Mercedes behind in the Ascari, but I don't know what happened.
So there's big damage right now for, let's see, Cazorla, Velar, Romanenko, Yakimchuk and Stephen Higgins all have big damage to their cars.
All of them are entering.
They'll all be coming into the pits now.
As they seem to be all doing that, so at least these guys won't have to worry about fuel, so new tyres, full tank of fuel possibly, and repairs to the aerodynamics of their vehicles. Hopefully none of them got engine damage, because otherwise that would...
Velar has not actually gone into the pits, so he's currently driving on the track with a almost non-existent front end.
Interesting choice there. Obviously with a missing front end you can have more drag and less downforce on the front, so to see if he can get anywhere with that. As I believe Steve Higgins has retired, so maybe he had engine damage or something. The other cars are in the pit lane right now. I don't know.
Yakimchuk is also driving around without the front end.
Oh.
So if you ever want to have a look inside the engine bay of an AMG GT3 while it's driving, you can do so right now.
And meanwhile, on the track, Grinion is looking to try and make a way around Alex as a second. So, battle of the front-engined cars right now, the Mercedes and the Corvette. As Grinion goes a bit wide and loses a bunch of time there by going wide, and ruins his chance of possibly getting an overtake then. as one of the BMWs heads out the pit lane. That is, I believe, Carzola.
Cazorla.
He makes his way out. He's got to be a bit careful now. He's obviously a lap down now. So everyone, he's going to have blue flags, so hopefully he'll get out of the way of everyone going past. Hopefully it won't cause too much issues. Everyone now heads around into the second chicane as Sebastian Bruni looks for down the inside of Cassel into the second chicane, but goes against it. I'll sit behind for another lap. Racing down in P7. Meanwhile, Lars Janssen still extending his lead at the front end with the fastest lap at the first thing by quite a significant margin, so like he is giving it his all right now. So I don't know. Again, it's going to be a question: how does the later stage of the race affect us by going as quickly now? As obviously the third place Audi, which was Romenko, has obviously he was involved in that crash in the Sky chicane, so he's all the way down the order now. So it's just going to be another fight between those two till the end. We're still somewhat of a bit of a train behind Robert Nygaard right now. Everyone's still in the slipstream as all one of the Mercedes go down. Olsen tries to go around the outside, and one of them BMWs just shoots straight over the chicane. I don't know what's quite going on there. I believe that was Verstappen as he skips the things and Olsen gets in front of Nygaard. I'm going to possibly try and make the position back. Actually, how quick can Olsen get away at this point? It's not been 10 minutes yet. We had quite the start. It's Monza once again. Monza just doing Monza things, and
Yeah, turn 1 went okay, but the problems happened at Ascari.
it's always either Scari or turn 1 at Monza, or second chicane, to be fair. Like, the first lap is just generally chaos. Unfortunately, some drivers will get caught up in that. Unfortunately, it has happened to some of our drivers this race. Cassel is on the back of Sebastian Bruni now as watching the timings issue is still present. Just making it quite hard to work out where people are currently on the grid. Thomas Janssen and Stoffman have somewhat made a getaway right now at the top end. As there's a move going on up ahead as Olsen takes defensive line into the first chicane, defending against Robert Nygaard. So Robert Nygaard is trying to make the move back and use all that grunt that M6 does have towards the end of the straights now. So, currently there's a little pack of cars now as no one's behind Olsen. As Olsen and Nygaard are stepping Brunier and Cassel all in a pack of cars together, all under a second apart. As they are all currently going now through the second Lesmo. Now we'll head into Ascari. No one looking to make a possible move there. You can just about make a move into Ascari. I wouldn't suggest it, but it is possible. We'll now head down towards parabolic, and I think Mike Stoffel is closing the gap to Thomas Janssen.
So Mayer has gone into the pits with a lot of front end damage. I'm not sure when that happened. Don't think they were involved in the lap 1 accident, though I may be wrong.
I don't know. You got damage or suspension damage through another means. Obviously, suspension damage is on in this race, so pick curbs a bit too aggressively and you will get damage as Olsen takes the defensive line into center chicane. Right, Nygaard staying alongside, but has to pop out then. It's not going to make the move fairly early on in that chicane, saying, I'm going to go down the inside here, because it's quite easy to defend if you know what you're doing. You can just place the car right, and you can't really get as assault as Mayo gets a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Obviously, whatever he was doing in the pit lane didn't quite do it correctly, and let his limiter off too early. So he has now got a penalty.
So that's gonna cost them some more time after already being in the pits with front end damage.
May have tagged a wall or something. It's another lap done. Everyone has buttons again, back into Ascari. So for out of that first shunt, it's very much a case of a slipstream.
Oh! Robert Nygaard.
Hard into the wall then. And he's turned on the other way. He's got to try and spin that car around when he can. And that's his engine's gone. But Ascari, and he retires. So that's Ascari takes another victim. And that's a shame for Nygaard. He's running very strong this race. He's going up to as high as P3 at one point, but Ascari seemed to go above him once again as Sebastian Bruno takes defensive for turn 1. Very early on takes the defensive line, so gets much basically, so as Cassell struggles to try and overtake him. I don't know what's going on there. It seems to be a common thing for the cars is to snap on the exit of a Sky right now. So maybe it's a curb just taking cars out, or a smooth.
Robert just confirming in the YouTube chat that indeed his engine died after that spin.
That's unfortunate for him, and it did look. It's a very hard impact into the wall then. Like,
yeah.
Up front, Thomas Janssen is maintaining the gap, it looks like, between him and Stoffmore, but possibly all of you trying to fuel save at this point using this massive advance he did have. He's closing down quite rapidly, so will he be able to keep us going later in the race?
Looks like Romanenko just had a bit of trouble in chicane. He's also driving out with some front end damage.
So Pamenkov has spun in the Skari. The Sky just seems to be the spot where everyone's having issues right now.
So it's not at the exit as usual.
It's probably spun entry. Looked anyway where he ended up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems to be now definitely a race of attrition, which is not uncommon here, as Stoffmill went around the outside. It looked like a Janssen possibly missed Kane or something, because he was very close and now he's dropped back a bit, so maybe something was going on there. As the pack behind them is also getting a bit closer now as well.
Yeah, they've got Thomas Olsen and Christopher Strapen coming up right behind them.
This is where the tactics come in play, because obviously Janssen and Stoffmore know they cannot last a race for a tank. They can't do it. It's impossible. They have to either fuel save or splash and dash, and they're probably trying to slow their pace down a bit once the gaps they have to see if they can extend the fuel of their cars. This does mean that though possibly Olsen and Verstappen can close the gap. The one car I don't know about is the AMG. I don't know how well it does on fuel, because obviously each car uses a different amount of fuel, and the fuel tanks should roughly be balanced, but they're not perfectly balanced, obviously. So some cars may last a bit longer on fuel than others. Olsen goes defensive.
Verstappen trying to go around the outside of Olsen in the parabolica, but doesn't quite make it. Maybe he has a chance to go up the inside now, and so he does. They're side by side at the exit.
Stay side by side down the main straight right now. He makes a nice little cutback maneuver there to keep alongside him.
See if Verstappen can attempt the overtake into turn 1. And no, he does not.
He backs out of it, but there's a bit of action going on behind. The two Corvettes of Cassel and Grunion go side by side into the first chicane. Grunion has to lose a lot of speed there in the second part of it to avoid hitting the Cassel in front. Since Sebastian Brunier's pace has also dropped off a bit now, so I think some of the BMWs have now gone into fuel saving, trying to save as much fuel as they can and hopefully just keep going in the race. Again, it depends how the other cars will handle, if they can get away with being flat out the whole time or not. Bit further up the road, still Verstappen is still right behind Olsen. We somehow once again managed to end up way up him to P3 once again after an interesting start to the race. BMW is very quick. Nice again. Most of the time he's losing back in the straight lines in the slipstream, so could possibly have another go now if he can get enough speed and X out of Parabolica. Still over 3/4 of the race to go. Well, it's under 3/4 of the race to go, I mean.
Like he could make an attempt up the inside here, and no, he backs out of it.
It'll be quite risky to make a move like that from that far back. He does need to probably be alongside him to really justify doing such a move right now.
Yeah.
Further down the field, Millet is chasing down Alexander Saka in the sister Mercedes. All the Corvettes somehow managed to end up in quite strong positions now. There's P5, P6 and P9s where the Corvettes are, and so Corvette, while not the strongest car in raw pace around here initially, seems to somewhat being managed to get out of trouble right now. Unlike the BMWs, which seem to two of them are out of the race already. It's a very early stage in this race. We'll head through Ascari. Verstappen is now chasing Olsen. It's a bit of a slower X out of Ascari, so it's going to be Parabolica. Mixing my corners up. And he's now down the back straight. To see the grunt now, the BMWs, he's gaining. Olsen goes a bit defensive, and they got very close to him, but has to let off the brakes a bit just to avoid contact there. Olsen stays ahead. now anyway. So, just looking around down the order, looking at where things are, still a little gaggle of cars. A bit further down, as one of the Cassell is somewhat driving away now from the pack of cars he's in, so there's car pack off from currently P5 to I believe P6, well more like P8 I mean, is somewhat close together still. Being headed as by Cassell. So far these guys, none of them really close enough to make any overtakes, but all still in the slipstream of each other, so still getting that extra top speed you do gain while following another car, but not being close enough to possibly make a move.
And keep in mind, fuel is also something to worry about, so I'd imagine they can't just go flat out all the time and try to overtake. So maybe they're trying to save a bit right now and have an attempt at overtaking later in the race.
That's quite a possibility. Sebastian Bruno is in that pack right now. He definitely knows he has to save fuel. It says that as he cuts the chicane, so outbrakes himself a bit there and has to take the run off. Didn't get anything out of it though, so and he actually lose the position out of it. So
yeah, Secher moving up to 7th.
I guess that's one way to save fuel a bit by taking a bit more straighter route across it, but unfortunately has lost position out of it by having to back off there to avoid gaining an advantage. That is not allowed, obviously. Can't just cut corners to gain an advantage, so that's pretty common racing etiquette, really. Let's rallycross and just drive wherever the track lets you go. So the current standing order is Jansen still leading, followed by Stoppelmill, and Olsen still holds P3 with Steppen nice to get back into P4. Cassell currently leading this pack, sitting in P5. Sebastian Bruno is now on the back once again of Secker. Possibly going to move now. Always just going to use the fact he's sitting behind a car right now to just do a bit of fuel, you know? Lift off a bit into corners, just extend your braking zones a bit, just make it, just save as much time as off the throttle as you can. He's gaining. He sees us there, but halfway down the straight, the BMW's gains a whole bunch of momentum. So he goes alongside into the chicane, and they get very close to each other. Don't actually touch, but got very close to, and unfortunately, oh, not unfortunately, Secker. Fortunately for Bruno, he loses the position. Well, doesn't lose position, doesn't gain it, and Secker keeps it. Very close again in second chicane, so Sebastian is giving it his all, it seems, right now. He is definitely trying to race Olsen ahead of him. As one of the cars behind is in the gravel trap as a second Lesmo.
Yeah, that's Vanger.
Vanger is sitting there, so I don't know if he's waiting for cars to get past or not, but he is a lap down now.
Yeah, he's getting back onto the track now. There is another car coming.
It's out of the way.
But no issues there.
Stay out on track. I don't know if he's got any suspension damage or not. His car is looking worse for wear right now.
The data is reporting engine damage for him.
Yeah, so he might have hit a wall or something on exit.
Yeah, I think he hit a wall with the rear end, which is obviously where the engine is in the Porsche, so that can be an issue.
Yeah, the Porsche's obviously rear engine's a bit different from other cars. Oddly enough, the GTE car, which is recently announced for a race room, the RSR 2019, is mid-engined now. A move which started back in 2017 when they unveiled that car there. They moved the engine to the middle, which is against what a Porsche should be, according to die-hard Porsche fanboys. Obviously, they see the advantage in terms of performance by moving it into the middle, but the GT3 car still goes over the rear.
So it seems that Stoffmill has lost a bit of time compared to Jensen. There is someone in between them, a back marker, I think.
Yeah, James Butler's in front right now in the
Yeah.
old
So
model.
maybe that caused some issues, but there is a significant gap between Jensen and Stoffmill right now.
Oh, does he make a mistake, or is he just being really aggressive in the fuel saving? They once again have made a gap to P3 again. They are having some pace
Yeah,
advantage there.
I think it will either have been a mistake or some issues with lapping.
Woo! Olsen spins. He cut straight across the Ascari, and he's got to be very careful now as cars are coming right behind him right now, but he does spin. He's now back going again.
Drops down to P6.
P6. So yeah, he just went straight off Ascari then.
That means, of course, Verstappen finally moves into third position, as they've been fighting for a long time.
He
But an
outbraked himself.
unfortunate mistake for Olsen.
His tyres look cooked. He's just doing parabolica. The rear end's just stepping out. So he'll be kicking himself a tiny bit as one of the cars is leaving the pit lane right now. Being Banga leaving the pit lane as Grunon's going down the inside right now. The back marker's going to possibly get in the way right now as Banga goes deep and has to cut the chicane. Back marker is getting right in the way right now. He's going to have to try and get out of the way if he can. One of the corners goes to the grass right now, so back marker is getting very close to these guys that are trying to get their way through. And Grunon loses post position now to Olsen. So Olsen managed to get in front of him now with all that chaos there caused by the back marker being there. I think they're going to be very happy about that back marker being there and staying in the way then. If I was that back marker, I'd just take the escape road, honestly. Just get out of the way completely. Obviously, he decided to take the chicane. Unfortunately, did cause a bit of chaos. But all cars are still running and pointing forward, so still a race to go. It's quite worth noticing this race is the first time where we had a quite a different pace difference between all the categories as such. So it's not proper categories, but just in terms of the front pack, the mid pack, and the rear pack. There's sort of seems to be a lot of lapped cars right now. A lot of them did get caused by the initial shunt at Ascari. But a few of them just seem to be struggling for pace around here. Obviously doesn't help being out of the slipstream. Does matter a lot around here, as we keep emphasizing.
Jensen does seem to be increasing his gap on Stoffmill. So he did a 48.3 last lap, while Stoffmill did a 48.9.
Staying together. Not really together. There. Stoffmill's ultimate fastest lap is faster by about 2 tenths. Yeah, the pace difference right now is quite a bit different, and we don't have data really on the fuel tanks and the fuel usage, so they're guessing on our part, but they probably still are both trying to fuel save if possible. It's in their interest to fuel save. Want to extend the fuel tank's life. Sebastian Bruno is round the back of second now into Ascari, so he's looks to make the move. Does not make it. He's getting very close to the back of that Mercedes right now. Possible have another go now into the Parabolica. Does look like he goes alongside. He's now going on to brakes. And he gets in front. So good move there by Sebastian Bruno to get in front of Decker. He's going to have another go now. It's quite hard to defend on the opening straight. It's so wide. You got the track bit and you got that little bit of extra bit that's sticking out a bit. This means it's quite hard to defend unless you cut all the way across. And looks like Decker's going to be alongside into the first chicane. Can Sebastian keep it there? No, he can't. So gained it one corner and lost it the next. Now hit the halfway mark. It's 1 hour race.
Yeah, another half an hour to go.
As Sebastian's, ooh, he loops it. He loops it into the second
Oh,
chicane.
he's into the gravel.
Wait for the cars to get back on. He just looped it. Brake bar set a bit wrong, something. No contact involved. He just looped on its own.
Yeah, he did lose a bunch of positions because of that though, so he's back down to P10.
He's got a bit of work to do now. Unfortunately for him, he was having a good little race there, but unfortunately, you can't fault anyone else but himself, really. Gotta keep going now. The mid pack is now approaching a back marker. James Butler in the old model 911. The very popular car while it was current, but now somewhat superseded by the 2019 spec 911, which is currently sitting in P11 in the highest position right now, which is Victor Berlin. Currently best of the Porsches. Everyone's slowly starting to calm down a bit, but still plenty of people close enough. And again, this is what the slipstream does. The slipstream, it's a magical ability of keeping cars close to each other. Because unlike a lot of times where you can somewhat break away by just being fast in the corners and stuff, around here, don't really have that opportunity. You get a fast corner, but as long as they are close enough to get some tow, they will just gain it all back again. Like it's sort of somewhat like pack racing. It's a bit like oval racing, but not really. But it's close enough.
Jensen is coming up to another bit of traffic, which is Joachim Chuck in the Mercedes without the front end.
He's still going around.
He has got past. Yeah, he's still going around with the damage, it seems.
So there's a few back markers right now. And just
There's still a pretty close pack fighting for 4th position. Cassel, Olsen and Garunian. Almost the turn 1 line. Looks like Olsen might try to go down the inside of Cassel, and he does, although he has to take the escape road there. And he does keep his position, which I'm not sure
lifting off.
Supposed to happen. He does seem to have lifted off to give the position back to Cassel.
A good, fair driving there. Just cut in front though of the Corvette trying to defend his position, but you have to give that position up as the bit door rubbing.
Of rubbing. Olsen stays ahead of Garunian. Although they're still side by side. into the first last mow.
And
And
gets him.
Goronian is ahead now. Could also try something down the inside. No, he won't.
You know, a bit further back, Victor Berlin and the back of Sebastian Brunier right now, so at the highest place of the Porsches, as I think Mullet spun or something, because Berlin's now currently in P11, or P10 I mean, so he's getting a bunch of positions as he's on the tail now. Sebastian was having a good race, and then it all sort of fell apart when he had that little spin earlier in the second chicane, and he's out of the slipstream now, so he's got a very fast Porsche to deal with now behind him. Does get a better exit though, so he will manage to break away. The gaps at the front are about the same. I think there's a bit of gap extension, but not enough to really worry.
Yeah, the last laps between Jensen and Stoffmill were very similar. Sebastian Brunier has a look on the outside of Berlin, but is not able to overtake there.
No, and he needs to get his position back because obviously he's still losing them. And Victor Berlin started dead last, may I add. At P9 right now, so his race is going fairly well.
Yeah, that's good for him.
Can he hold his position off now? Sebastian, from what I remember, was the fastest of the two drivers in terms of absolute pace. Real question of can he use that pace now, or does he still worry too much about the fuel load right now? Head down now to Ascari. You have a back mark in front, one of the damaged BMWs, which crashed fairly early on, is ahead of them, but not really enough for them to affect them right now. And he looks to the outside. As he tries to go around, keep hanging around the outside there. Very difficult to do, long way around. Or not, he stays alongside. He does stay
Let's
alongside.
see if we can take advantage of the trend of the BMW.
Porsche does pull ahead a bit, so now he's got a bit of toe
Bernier
now.
pulls back into the toe
Victor.
and moves back to the outside.
Victor very early then put his car onto basically the racing, not the racing line, that's the line. Just to defend it and stays in front. Sebastian definitely has the pace. It was a bit wide there, Victor, but so half managed to. Meanwhile, just up the road, Becker's a bit of a gap of his own right now, as the cars in front of him have managed to pull away a bit. That's Greenland's on the back, all over the back of Olsen right now. They try and hold somewhat of a position. No real moves possibly right now, and I still want to know how the fuel's playing an effect. It's going to be the last 10 minutes where it's going to really
Yeah.
matter. Before then, it shouldn't affect too much.
Bernier having a go up the inside of Berlin into turn 1. See if he can make it happen this time. Looks like he will.
And yes, he does. So he's in front now. Managed to make the move work. Goes down some way away. The Porsche's got a lot of grunt off the corners there. A lot of traction. He's going to hope to keep it going now. He's possibly going to take a defensive line now. It does look for the move, but he backs off it and slots in behind.
They're about to run into a couple of back markers as well.
You can see Sebastian is definitely a bit quick in the corners right now. He's making a bit of a gap now out of those corner exits, carrying a bit more speed through them. But still in that toe range, so he's still not out of it yet. Well, break the toe is the main thing. Once you break the toe, you can somewhat get a bit of start getting it out of the way. Just up the road, there's one of the Mercedes. Right now, John Pierce is in front on the back marker. He's having a race of his sort of own right now.
Berlin goes down the inside of Bernier into the Parabolica.
Very light move then, and he stays alongside. Once again, Sebastian forced onto the outside. This is the issue.
Pulls into the slipstream on the main straight.
Sebastian's got to take the defensive line right now. He doesn't. He someone holds the wrong racing line, I guess. Ellen doesn't make the move then. Oddly enough, but. Sebastian is making a bit of a break now. Cassell is now behind Olsen, so Olsen's now back in front. A good job by Olsen to get some positions back, as he is now back into P4.
See if he can catch up to his main rival for early in the race, Verstappen. There is quite a gap between them at the moment. Unfortunately, the timing is being a bit glitchy today. But yeah, it seems to be there is quite a gap between them, so I don't know if he can manage to close up with just 17.5 minutes left in the race.
He's not really managed to make away for Cassell either right now, so a bit more work to worry about than that right now. Cassell's still in that slipstream range. It's still possible to make an overtake. Though they're approaching a back marker out on the very damaged Mercedes of Yamek. He's still going around with that front end damage on, so obviously sees it as faster than pitting. Or as they all just get out of the way and the back marker gets in the way, but it's somewhat let Cassell make a move now. In the Parabolica looks for it, can't quite make it, not quite close enough. They all slot back in order once again. They're all going to possibly make a move now down in the back straight as they're all very close to each other now. Very possible now. Hopefully they don't get 3 wide. It's very possible they can go 3 wide. As Cassell pulls out and so they possibly are going 3 wide. Nope. Grunham goes against it and they all sort of just slot back together in the line again. Meanwhile, Sebastian Brunner is once again behind Victor Berlin. They obviously missed the overtake, but once again behind him, so he's got to try and make the positions back up again. Sebastian's sort of somewhat struggling a bit, not with consistency it seems, of just keeping the car on track or something like that, because Berlin's quite far ahead, so possibly has been a spin, or just going off track a bit.
They're coming up to a back marker as well, Cazorla in the somewhat damaged BMW. Stoffmills also have to deal with the back marker, though the back marker slows down on the straight, so that's not really been an issue. Still a pretty sizable gap between him and Jansen though.
Yep, Jansen coming comfortably leading this race right now. Under just a quarter of an hour to go. We're on the battle for 4th position. All the cars are still very close together, and Alexander Secker is, I believe, closing the gap as well right now. A bit annoying that the timing data is wrong right now, because it'd be very useful right now to know if people are closing the gaps or not, but
Secker seems to have gone a couple tenths faster than Goronyan on the last lap.
it's a little bit
So
of
he's not as fast as Cassell and Olsen.
he's somewhat being held with his pack by the slipstream. But we'll see what happens, obviously, as there's still 30 minutes to go, and if Secker can actually catch up in time. He needs to get once he gets close enough, it should be fairly easy. But it's about getting that close enough, and the more these three fight each other, the slower they go, and the more chance he does have to overtake them. So what he wants is these guys to fight, and what these guys need to do is stop fighting and drive away if they don't get overtaken by Secker. But it's completely for them to work out. As one of the back markers is spun there, I think that's...
Yeah, that's Vanger. He's gone into the gravel trap at the Parabolica.
And he's struggling all race.
Yep. He hopefully can make a safe entry. He seems to have been able to.
As Castell possibly makes a move and then loses a bunch of time as Brilliant is round the back of him right now.
Yeah, they're very close together right now. Let's see if Groningen can attempt to move into the second chicane. And he does not.
No. He stays out of it for now. They're still all close together, so once again, got a bit of gaps again. But Saka is closing it. He's visibly closing the gap right now, so we've got to make a move on right now. One of them just get a bit twitchy on the exit there of Ascari. As Cassell's going down the inside of the Parabolica. Not quite close enough, but he's going to slip it down the inside. He keeps going side by side on the exit. Now drag race down towards the first chicane as they go still hold side by side. None of them are budging yet. Cassell's on the inside. He's got a bit of an advantage, but the AMG is pulling a bit ahead now. Cassell might be able to hang this if he can hold this inside line. How brave is on the brakes as Olsen stays in front. So a bit more brave on the brakes and does pay off as he stays in front of Cassell. As they head into the last 10 minutes of this race.
The last 10 minutes have begun now. So we're truly into the final stage of the race.
Yep.
Where we might finally get to see how people are doing fuel-wise.
If half the field just stops on the track or goes in the pit lane, I'll be laughing. Everyone dives into the pit lane. Apart from like one car which goes down the track and wins.
I mean, often in the OVRC, the last 5 minutes is when all the shit goes down, and
especially this season. Like this season so far has been last 5 minutes. How do you like punctures? I don't think punctures will be affecting this race as much. As I said before in the sort of qualifying section, the tyres don't get quite as much load on them around here, so it seems to be the punctures seem to be mostly affecting once you get below 50% tyre wear. There was a warning for the Bathurst 333 race, which happened yesterday at the race room special event. Well, Bathurst for 1 hour and 50 minutes, something like that. They had a few technical issues, but overall good race. Our own Thomas Jansen managed to finish P5 in that in the Bentley. And Stoffmore was also racing there in his Audi, so they're both coming back off some a decent race there, racing here and currently leading as Cassell pulls to the outside. They stay side by side, and Cassell gets in front now, rides the curb then. But Olsen is still right on the back of him. Pulls out, possibly make a move now again. He seems to be very confident on the brakes as Cassell goes on the grass then.
That's a big hit, and Olsen has spun.
Olsen's now back going again, and you lose a bunch of positions now.
Down to P7.
Yeah, Cassell's went a bit on the grass then and lost the car and somewhat drove into him, so if a report is made about that, it'll be possibly in Cassell's fault. That's up to Olsen to report that. He's got all the work to do now as Alex Seka, one of the other Mercedes drivers, is now right behind Grunion. So he has been getting the whole time. He is now possibly trying to try and get even closer now as he heads to the 7-minute mark. Grunion takes a weird line then, so I think Grunion's quite, once he's broken the slipstream now, so he hasn't got the slipstream of Cassell in front anymore, so he might start to struggle a bit. As he pulls alongside now, could run to the AMG, a bit more top speed now on the heavy on the brakes. Grunion stay in front, there you go alongside, and see a result of this, Grunion stays in front.
Though Sacher's still got a pretty good exit there, so he might be able to do something into the next corner, the next braking zone. He looks like he goes down the inside.
And he
And he makes the
does.
move.
Holds it. So that's a great bit of driving there by Olsen. Managed to keep on the brakes and slot
There's
right in front
Secker.
again. Secker. Yeah, Secker. Sorry. The fact that both red Mercedes confuses me.
Yeah, and Olsen used to be in this position.
A few laps ago.
Yeah,
But he's coming
it's
behind
a
right
bit
now.
confusing.
He's got just over 5 minutes to make that position back. He has got the pace in him. We know he has the pace in him, but can he make it work? His tyres are starting to be wear down a bit now, so some of the grip will be lost. Cars will be lighter though, due to the fuel burn.
As the gap between our leaders is still pretty big.
Not big enough for a splash and dash though, so other Thomas is thinking about doing that. Doesn't have time to do that, so I don't think.
Stoffel was a couple tenths faster on the last lap, but Jensen still has a big margin.
No, I don't think it's really anything possibly can happen right now.
Unless Jensen has a puncture.
Yep.
Which he tends to have issues
As
with.
Grinning goes down the inside and makes his way past Seko
Oh, there's
again.
been a bit of issue between Jakimchuk and Cazorla.
Oh,
So Cazorla now without a front end.
he had an incident right at the start, and he's been driving along.
Yeah, so it looks like they possibly collided in the Parabolica. So now they're both without a front end.
Well, they were supplying the front bumpers and front wings. They're getting a bit of money now. Got a few of them. Have fallen off.
But here still pretty close to Grunion as they're coming up to Ascari now.
Yep. Not many more laps to go though. As Becker pulls to the inside. Let's keep this now, because obviously Gwynn's now going to cut back to the inside. Give it a cutback move there, and he gets back in front again. Gets back in front again, but he gets back in front again. So he managed to keep momentum going out of the Parabolica. Gets ahead once more, but still not far enough to really break it, and there's somewhat let Cassell get away now. He's way up the road now.
Yes, there's just 2.5 minutes left in the race now.
Not many more laps to go.
Yeah, only a couple more laps.
As Gwynn's right on the tail now of the Mercedes. Not close enough.
Yes.
Oh,
One of the
one
Porsches is off into the gravel. That's Pahomankov.
going on there, but he just went straight off into that gravel trap. As Grimmer's down on the inside of turn 1, so these two have been fighting now for the last few laps and possibly. Once again, he gets a good run now. I'll look for the inside. Under a minute to go now. He gets a really good run now outside of it, and that probably means that Sekka's going to struggle getting close now. As there'll be possibly one more lap after this, depends when Thomas Janssen crosses the line. He goes, as Thomas is going for the Parabolica right now.
So it looks like it's probably going to be one more lap.
Yep, as he's going past the function straight, so you cross the line now. So this is now the final lap. So the next time these guys got one more lap to fight it out over. They stay in front right now, so Grillon's still staying in front. That's a little bit of dive there by Sekka. Also trying to make the overtake happen. Very rarely from the brakes. Not close enough to really hit him, but get quite aggressive. One of the BMWs is now in the pit lane. There's P.
Who that is? That is Verstappen.
He's run out of fuel, so he's fallen prey to the lack of fuel the BMW seems to be able to carry.
Yeah, he was in 3rd position, but now he's into the pits. Already dropped down to P7.
So yeah, the Mercedes, definitely not Mercedes, the BMW is struggling on fuel.
And he's back out of the pit lane now, so it was a very quick stop for a few liters of fuel. Well, he's down to P9, right behind Sebastian Brunier. And so Victor Berlin is quite far behind Brunier now, so possibly something happened to him.
Yep. As Brunier and Holsten are still, Sekka are still fighting for the thing as they through the Lesmo. Thomas Janssen though, on the final lap, going to head into the Parabolica right now. One more corner to go. And he's going to finally take a victory here at the OVRC in this season. Across the line, and Thomas Janssen takes the checker flag for his first win of Season 5 of the GT Series. Going to be followed up by Mike Stoffmill. Stoffmill finally comes second to race. Janssen finally doesn't have a puncture. Next one to be crossing the line, it will be a Cassell, as he's managed to somewhat get a gap now between the cars behind him. So after that battle, which seemed to last.
Lekker's still right behind Garunian going into the Parabolica now. Could he still attempt to move down the inside? Doesn't look like it. See if he can maybe still pull ahead. And no, he won't. So Garunian will finish 4th and Lekkers finishes 5th. There's Thomas Olsen in P6.
This one across the line with Jordan Pierce, who's had somewhat of an uneventful race. He'll come home in P7, followed by Sebastian Brunier, who's managed to get back up to P8 towards the end. So it's Berlin across it in P10.
Thomas Olsen has gone into the pits and he's dropping down the order, even though I think he finished. So not sure if that actually counts, or if he will show up in his actual finish position in the end results.
And also on the cross line will be a Valar. And that is the final result. Thomas Janssen takes victory at Monza. Followed by Mike Stoffmill, Cassell, Grunion, Sekka, Olsen, Pierce, Brunier, Verstappen, and Berlin round off your top 10. and a surprisingly uneventful 5 minutes.
Yeah, only big thing that happened really was Verstappen having to pull into the pit lane for a few more liters of fuel to finish the race, which did cost him a number of positions because he was in P3 and then dropped down to P9, so that was pretty costly. But he still managed to finish the race.
Yeah, so there we go. That is round 3. And yeah, good result there by Thomas. Finally getting the win, which he thought he could get a Nürburgring, thought he'd get a Silverstone. Both times getting relegated all the way to the back of the grid. Yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you all enjoyed the racing. It's a different sort of race for us, really. Anything you'd like to say, Owen, before we head off?
There's still some good racing happening, but just wasn't as chaotic as usual, which may be actually a good thing for some of the drivers who have had a bit too much chaos in the previous races. But it was still a good watch. I hope you all enjoyed it too. If you did, please remember to press the like button and subscribe to the channel to watch more of our upcoming races. So the next race will be in 2 weeks' time at Imola.
The Italian doubleheader.
Yeah.
So yeah, that should be a fun race. Similar, quite a different sort of track. Again, thanks everyone for watching, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.